I was told this very scary story which took place 20 years ago by a nurse who also happened to be one of my colleagues. Back when she was young, she volunteered for the local medical team and had encounters with many spooky things. Since I didn't have much work to do on that day, I told her to recount the story. Back in the days, besides doctors, there were also Taoists who claimed that they could cure people. One of the female nurses said that it was just superstition as it sounded too good to be true for a Taoist to cure someone. I then told her that there were mysterious things happening long ago yet hadn't been scientifically explained yet. We started listening to the woman's story. That year, her medical team was sent to a mountainous area for conducting a survey as a medical center was soon to be opened there. The village head was a man named Shin. He told the team to stay at the infirmary as he would assist them if they needed any help. The team leader asked Mr. Shin where he kept the herbs, then assigned the tasks to his teammates. Suddenly, there were noises of people arguing outside. Everyone curiously went out to check. Turned out that the wife of the village chief was having a quarrel with another woman who desperately appealed for her husband to be freed. Seeing the doctors, the woman instantly rushed to them. She went to the leader of the group, knelt down and cried terribly. The woman then begged them to save her husband from death. The village chief and his wife quickly rushed to stop the woman, saying she was being emotionally unstable. But the doctor requested the two to let go of her as she wanted to check on her husband's condition. Mr. Shin couldn't hide the anger on his face. He told the doctor that the man had been possessed and was under treatment, thus he shouldn't interfere in the process. Now the doctor was even more concerned as he heard the village had said something about possession. He insisted on seeing the sick man. As they were on their way to the place where the man was being treated, the woman introduced herself as Lan, while Zon was her husband, then recounted the story to the doctors. Her husband Zon and the village chief were close friends as the term of office was about to expire. Shin had to cede the position for village chief to Zon. However, the head's wife was displeased as she didn't like her and Zon at all. That day, after Zon returned home from the jungle, the woman saw a red wound on her husband's forehead, yet Zon reassured her that it was just him clumsily tripping. However, Zon suddenly had a change in his personality as he constantly chased and hit other people without any reason. It was rumored that Zon had been possessed by a ghost, hence not being capable of becoming the next village chief. What was even scarier, the man acted more outrageously as he grabbed his head and screamed loudly, saying there were hundreds of insects wriggling in his head. Having no other choice, Lan had to tie her husband to his bed, leaving him shouting in pain. But one day the man untied the rope and rushed outside, which was completely unexpected to Lan. He aggressively attacked everyone he encountered. Later, the villagers had to tie him up and carry him to the house of the village chief. One Taoist said that Zon had been possessed, thus he needed to have the ghost removed at once. Zon was locked in a warehouse afterwards, looking miserable. Later, the man was being soaked in a big jar whilst having his body being tied firmly. Every day Lan went to take care of her husband, but the strange illness just tormented Zon as it had no sign of remission. Even on days when it was freezing cold and snow was falling outside, Zon was still trapped in the jar. Fearing that her husband would die if he continued to deal with this extreme situation, Lan begged the Taoist to release him, but the man immediately rejected it. Being furious, Lan rushed to her husband, intending to set him free, yet instantly got stopped by the villagers. The village chief's wife closed the door tightly, sarcastically told Lan that her husband was unworthy of governing the village, then kicked her out. Lan was heartbroken to recount the story. She neither believed her husband was possessed nor could be cured by that Taoist. As they finally arrived at the place, the scene appeared before their eyes freaked them out the moment they opened the door. Zon looked extremely fatigued. He was trembling from the freezing cold while his body was tied firmly. The water surface had also frozen. How could it be tolerable for a human being to endure all of this? The doctors quickly carried him out to the jar. Everyone was stunned. They wondered how the man was being treated in such a wrongfully strange way. The Taoist was also there. He looked worried, as if he was in fear of something. Meanwhile, the village's head's wife was saying something under her breath as she disdainfully gazed at the doctors. Zon was rushed to the hospital afterwards. His whole body was covered with sores. However, the man didn't make it as the sores became larger. He foamed at the mouth and died tragically. But the moment before he died, the man had held the chief's name and pointed his finger at him. Alan felt an immense pain in her heart as she witnessed the death of her husband. The female nurse had a suspicion that this incident had something to do with the village head and his wife. Lan returned home with great sadness while the villagers were still gossiping. They said Zon had done many bad things before, hence not being saved. Later that afternoon, the group of doctors had a discussion as the main doctor believed that the man had been killed by an abnormal parasite. The rest of the group was assigned to go out and inform the villagers that the man had died from a parasitic disease, not demonic possession. After telling the villagers to be cautious about the virus, the female nurse gazed at Lan's house. As she headed to the house, she saw two children running past her while yelling loudly. The female nurse kept walking. As she gazed inside, she saw Lan was comforting her son. Lan told her that her son was teased by some other kids. Thus, she chased them away. A while later at the riverbank, the two kids that the female nurse had previously encountered were found dead, drowning. What was more horrifying, there were sores appearing on the two corpses, which similarly happened to Zon. The villagers believed it was the ghost of Zon that sought revenge on them. One of the two children who died at the scene was that of the village chief. Hearing people say Lan had chased the two kids moments earlier, the wife became furious as she claimed it was Lan's fault that caused the death of her child. The wife aggressively rushed to Lan's house. She slammed the door, intending to hurt her. Unfortunately, as she kicked on the door, the roof tiles dropped from above and landed on her head. She screamed painfully as blood slowly dripped down. Lan and the female nurse were stunned to witness the scene. The nurse quickly checked on her, but it seemed like the severe injuries had made her lose consciousness. After the woman was taken to the infirmary, she suddenly acted crazy as soon as she awoke. The woman was tied to the bed right away. What terrified those present at the scene was the woman started having sores all over her body. The woman quickly got frightened as she didn't expect herself to endure this horrific disease. The female nurse quickly informed the village head on his wife's condition. The main doctor expressed his disappointment as he told Shin that his wife had been infected with the parasite that had killed Zon. Since the symptoms developed too quickly, there was just a slim chance for her to make it out alive. Shin refused to believe the doctor as he called some of the villagers to help him bring his wife to the Taoist, asking him to remove the ghost from her. The villagers quickly gathered in front of the Taoist's house. They seemingly didn't believe the doctors either. The main doctor told the nurse that he still hadn't figured out how the parasitic virus was transmitted, as some got infected by it while others didn't. All of a sudden, from inside the house, there were piercing screams which aroused the amazement of those who gathered outside. Shortly after that, they frantically ran away, which created absolute chaos. The female nurse rushed inside the house to check. The scary scene in front of her eyes instantly made her skin crawl. The village head's wife had died as she laid in a pool of blood with foam in her mouth and sores spreading on her body just like Zon. However, it was another thing that caused her death. Laying next to the woman was the Taoist. Turned out that Mr. Shin had beaten his wife to death with a bar as he claimed the two had gone crazy and Zon was there to take revenge on them. Later that evening, Mr. Shin had ended up being killed the same way as he foamed at the mouth while having sores and parasitic worms all over his body. Lun was in utter confusion as she couldn't figure out why she and her child weren't infected. According to the doctor, it was the wounds and injuries that allowed this parasitic virus to be transmitted. They only survived for a short period of time in natural environments, but could extend their lifespan if they stuck to open wounds. After the incident, a team of researchers on parasitic viruses was sent to the village. They quickly disinfected the whole area, and no one had contracted the strange disease ever since. After the female nurse finished her story, she still had no idea there was actually a deadly virus in the village, or was it just the ghost of Zon that caused the horrific incident?